A special thanks to our Man School sponsor, Phone Plus. Business telephone service, custom branding, marketing, quality, security, stability, guaranteed savings. PremierPhonePlus.com.
Because of all the miracles Jesus performed in his teaching and all the people who were following him, many of the religious leaders were very upset, and they met secretly with the high priest. What are we doing? This Jesus is performing too many miracles. Yes, and if he goes on like this, all of Israel will start to follow him, and then Rome could come in and remove us from our positions of power and could possibly destroy our very nation. Caiaphas, the high priest, said to them, "You know nothing at all. You do not take into account that one man could die for the people. The whole nation need not perish." Now, Caiaphas didn't say this on his own initiative, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the people. So from then on, those who opposed Jesus plotted his death. Now, right before the Passover celebration, Jesus gathered his disciples together outside the city, and he said to them, "We're now going into Jerusalem to celebrate this Passover. And I want to remind you of what I have been telling you, that I will be arrested and condemned to death, but I will be resurrected on the third day." Now, Peter, go into Jerusalem. Take John with you. And when you get there, you'll find a donkey, and next to it, a young colt. Untie the colt, bring it to me. Well, if anyone says anything to you about it, just say, "The Lord has need of it," and he'll give it to you, all right? So Peter and John went into Jerusalem, and they found the young colt, untied it, brought it back to Jesus, lay a garment across his back, and then he sat upon the young colt, and he began to ride the colt into Jerusalem. And as he did so, crowds of people began to gather around him. Some of them took off their cloaks and spread them on the road in front of Jesus. Others cut down palm branches and spread them on the road in front of Jesus. Everyone was shouting, praising God with loud voices for all the miracles Jesus had performed. "Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna to the Son of God. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna to the Son of God. Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest." The religious leaders in the crowd shouted at Jesus and said, "Tell your disciples to be quiet." I tell you, if these became silent, the very stones would cry out. And Jesus rode the young colt all the way to the temple. And when he got there, he found those merchants in the temple selling the sheep, the oxen, and the doves, and all the money changers. So Jesus took a piece of rope and he began to drive them out of the temple along with the sheep and the oxen. And he took the tables of the merchants and overturned their money and said, "Take these things out. Stop making my Father's house a house of robbery." The angry merchants shouted at Jesus and said, "What signs do you show us that justifies you doing all this? Destroy this temple, and I will rebuild it in 3 days." It took 46 years to build this temple, and you think you could build one in 3 days? Jesus, of course, was speaking about his body. A few days later, Jesus and his disciples celebrated the Passover together in a large upper room. And as they were eating, Jesus took a piece of bread and he broke it and he handed it to his disciples and said, "Take this and eat it. It's my body. Every time you eat of it, just think about me. And then Jesus took his cup of wine and he prayed over it and he gave it to the disciples and said, I want you to drink from this cup, all of you. This is the blood, my blood, of the new covenant, which is being poured out for forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will not drink of this fruit of the vine again until I do it with you in my kingdom. And then Jesus became very upset and said, tonight, one of you will betray me. When the disciples were so disturbed, they didn't know who Jesus was talking about. John was leaning against Jesus' breast and he gestured to John, find out who he's talking about. So John leaned back and said, Jesus, who is it? And Jesus said, it is the one for whom I will dip the bread and give it to him. So Jesus took a piece of bread and he dipped it and he handed it to Judas. Surely it is not I, Rabbi. You've said it. I know what you have to do. Just be quick about it. When Judas left, it was dark. And Jesus looked back at his disciples and said, I'm going to be leaving you soon, and you cannot follow me. And Peter said, well, why can't I follow you? You will follow me, but you will not until much later. Well, why can't I follow you? Peter, you can't follow me now, but you will follow later. I will lay down my life for you. Oh, well, let me tell you, Peter, before the rooster crows in the morning, you will have denied me 3 times. Oh, I would never deny you, never. And all the disciples said the same thing. And Jesus said, don't let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe in me. In my Father's house, there are many mansions. If that weren't so, I would have told you. Because that's where I'm going, to prepare the place for you. And if I go there to prepare a place for you, I'm coming back to get you, so that we will be together forever. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to God except through me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Abide in me and I in you, and you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can't do anything. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, ask whatever you will, and it shall be done for you. In this way, my Father is glorified, because you bear much fruit, and you prove to be my disciples. Just as the Father has loved me, I love you. Abide in my love. If you abide in my love, and my words abide in you, you will love one another. And this is my commandment. Love each other. Greater love has no one than this, than that they lay down their life for their friends. And you are my friends if you do as I command you. I tell you all these things so that in me you may have peace. In the world, you'll have all kinds of trouble. Take courage. I have overcome the world. After this, Jesus and his disciples went to the Mount of Olives. And when he got there, he took Peter, James, and John, and they went further into the Garden of Gethsemane. And Jesus said to them, please, my soul is crushed. I feel like I'm about to die. Please, I need for you to keep watch, stay awake, and pray. So Jesus went further into the garden by himself, and he said, oh, Father, Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Oh, Father. Jesus went back and he found the disciple asleep. Please wake up. Can't you stay awake for an hour? Now, stay awake. Pray and keep watch. Jesus went further into the garden. And, oh, Father. Father, nothing is impossible with you. Please. Let this cup pass from me. But if it will not pass unless I drink it, your will be done. Oh, still asleep. The spirit is willing and the flesh is weak. Get up. The Son of Man is about to be betrayed into the hands of sinners. Judas arrived with a cohort from the temple guard and a mob with clubs and swords. And he came up to Jesus and said, "Greetings, Rabbi." Do what you've come for, friend. Oh, Judas, you betray me with a kiss? The hour and the power of darkness is yours. And they began to drag Jesus away, but Peter drew a sword and he cut off the ear of one of the high priest's servants. Jesus said, "Peter, put up your sword. Do you not realize that I could call upon my Father and he would send 12 legions of angels to rescue me?" But all of this is to be fulfilled. So Scripture can be fulfilled. And then they dragged Jesus away. And they took him to the home of Caiaphas, the high priest, where a hastily convened Sanhedrin had gathered. And Peter followed at a safe distance all the way to the courtyard of the high priest. Now, the religious leaders who opposed Jesus kept trying to bring false testimony against Jesus so that they could condemn him to death. And many false witnesses came forward, but they kept contradicting themselves. Finally, 2 witnesses were brought forward and said, I heard this man say that he could destroy our temple. Oh, yes, and rebuild it in 3 days. Jesus, all this time, said nothing. So Caiaphas stood up and said, you hear all these charges against you, and you make no answer. But Jesus remained silent. So finally, Caiaphas said to him, I command you to swear before God in this holy assembly that you tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of God. I am. And from now on, you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of God and coming in the clouds of heaven. Enough! This is blasphemy! What further need do we have of these witnesses? We've all heard the blasphemy. What is the decision? He should die. Let him die. He deserves to die. Those people who were standing around Jesus, they blindfolded him and they spat upon him and hit him in the head and said, prophesy to us, Messiah. Which one of us hit you? Now, Peter, who was outside in the courtyard of the high priest, was warming himself by the fire. And as he was sitting there, a woman came up to him and said, now, aren't you one of his disciples? I don't know what you're talking about. A moment later, another man came up to him and said, yes, I think you are. Yes, you are one of his. You're from Galilee. I can tell by your accent. I am not one of his disciples. Finally, a third person came up and said, yes, you are. I saw you tonight in the garden. You were the one who drew. By God, I don't know this man. Oh, the rooster crowing. At dawn the next morning, Caiaphas and the religious leaders took Jesus to Pilate, the governor, at his palace. But they wouldn't enter the palace because they didn't want to be defiled for Passover. So Pilate was awakened and brought out to meet them. So what are the charges you bring against this man? He misleads the people by forbidding to pay taxes to Caesar. Yes, he himself is Messiah, says he's a Messiah, the king. You are a king then. Yes, he stirs up the people all over Judea. You hear all these charges against you, and you don't have anything to say. But Jesus remained silent. Well, if he weren't a criminal, we wouldn't have brought him to you. Oh, just take him yourself. Judge him by your own laws. We're not permitted to put anyone to death. What? To death? Leave me with him. So you are a king then? Do you say this on your own initiative, or did other people tell you about me? No one's told me anything. Now what have you done? My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my followers would be fighting for me, but as it is, my kingdom is not of this world. So you are a king then. I am. For this reason I was born. For this reason I came into the world, that I might bear witness to the truth. Everyone who hears my voice hears the truth. What is truth? Come, your accusers are waiting for us. Yes, Yes, come. I find no fault with this man. He's done nothing to deserve death. But since it is my custom at this time of your Passover to release to you a prisoner, I will give you your king. We don't want this man. Give us Barabbas. Barabbas is a thief, a murderer, and a rebel. We have a law, and by our law, he ought to die because he made himself out to be the Son of God. What? You're more than a king? You are the Son of God? Why don't you answer me? Don't you realize that I have the authority to release you or the authority to have you crucified? You would have no authority over me if it weren't given to you from above. If you release this man, you're no friend of Caesar's. Whoever makes himself out to be king opposes Caesar. I shall take him before the people. They can judge him. So Pilate took Barabbas and Jesus out onto his balcony, and he presented them to the mob below in his courtyard. Whom shall I release for you? Barabbas or Jesus, your king? But he says he is your king. Shall I crucify your king? Bring me a basin of water, quickly. But he has done nothing wrong. I'll flog him and then release him. Oh, yes. I wash my hands of this whole thing. If you want him crucified, so be it. So Pilate turned Jesus over to his soldiers. They took him into the fortress. They stripped off his clothes, put a scarlet robe upon him, weaved a crown of thorns and placed it on his head and put a reed staff in his hand. And they knelt in front of him and mocked him, saying, "Hail, great king!" And they spat upon him, took away his scarlet robe, and they flogged him. Then they led him out of the fortress, through the streets of Jerusalem, up the hill of Golgotha. And there they crucified him between two criminals. Oh, 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 Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. I tell you the truth. Today, you will be with me in paradise. My God. Oh, my God. Why have you forsaken me? Oh, 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 Mother, look now at your son. Oh, son, look after your mother. Oh, 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 oh. It's finished. Oh, 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 oh. Into your hands I commit my spirit. Peter, John. 3 days later, Mary of Magdala came to the upper room where the disciples had celebrated Passover with Jesus. They had locked themselves there because they were afraid. Peter, are you there? Mary, is that you? Yes, yes, open the door. I just come from the tomb and I have just come from the tomb. I hadn't been back since we buried him. I was going to anoint Jesus' body, but I didn't know how I was going to get that big stone out of the way. But when I got there, it'd been rolled to one side. I went into the tomb and Jesus' body, oh, he was gone. I ran out of the tomb and there on this stone sat an angel. Yes, an angel. I know an angel when I see one, all right? But I was terrified, of course. He told me, don't be afraid. He knew why I had come, but that Jesus was no longer there. He'd risen from the dead, just like he said he would. And he told me to come and tell you this. Well, the disciples refused to believe her. So they sent Peter and John to go see for themselves. They left running together most of the way. John outran Peter. When he got to the tomb, he looked inside, but he wouldn't go in, not without Peter. When Peter got there, he pushed John out of the way, went straight into the tomb. And there he saw the burial clothes and the face cloth neatly folded and placed to one side. John came in. Peter? Oh, John. I think he did it. I think he did it. So Peter and John went back to Jerusalem, told the disciples everything that they had seen. And I don't care what you say. I want to see the imprint of the nails. I want to put my hands in his side where the sword pierced him. Then I'll believe. Peace be with you. There, just inside the locked door, stood Jesus. The disciples were terrified. Hello. Don't be afraid. You're not looking at a ghost. Philip, I am so hungry. Do you have any bread and fish? Thomas, give me your hands, Thomas. Believe, Thomas. Stop doubting and believe. Oh, my Lord and my God. You believe because you've seen. Ha. Blessed are all those who believe and have not seen. Now, I want to remind you, all of you, of everything that I taught you while I was with you, that the Messiah would suffer and die, but that I would be resurrected on the third day, and that repentance for forgiveness of sins should be preached throughout the whole world, beginning first here in Jerusalem. You have been witnesses of these things. Just as the Father has sent me, I'm sending you. There's my Holy Spirit. I'm giving you the promise of my Father. But you are to remain here in Jerusalem until you have received the power. And don't forget, I'm going to be with you always, even to the ends of this age. After a time, Jesus took the disciples to the Mount of Olives. And when he got there, he lifted up his hands to bless them. And as he was blessing them, he began to ascend right into the heavens. Oh! And the disciples stared into the heavens until he was completely out of their sight. Oh. And then the disciples returned to Jerusalem with great joy and were continually in the temple, praising God. Dad was an actor, a director, and a teacher. He taught theater at Lipscomb University way back in the day. And then my mom, before she became a journalist, she was also did a lot of acting. And so it's in the DNA. But I guess my first real live experience was to see, I was maybe 4 or 5. I saw my dad in a production of Carousel. He played Billy Bigelow. And it was so real to me, so alive. And I would have dinner with my father in the evening, and he would say, "Good night, son, good night, honey, I'm off to rehearsal." I had no idea what rehearsal was until Mom took me to the show, and this beautiful make-believe world came to life, and my dad was in it, was in that world. What traumatized me was, if you know the story, Billy Bigelow kills himself with a knife. And because I was still at the age of magical thinking, this did not compute that it was just make-believe. And so I was terrified. And Mom had to take me out of the theater because I was making too much racket, wanting to get into my father's arms, make sure that he was not, just to make sure that this had not, something was wrong. And so backstage, meet and greet, all the people, around Dad, and I just ran up to him and leapt into his arms. Whew. that kicked me off into what a father's and son's love for one another. But then also, this was a magical world that I believed wholeheartedly. Then 20 years or 15 years later, my dad and I are doing something together called a play called Man of La Mancha. And he played Don Quixote and I played Muleteer number 5. So it wasn't much of a part, but I got to work with my dad. And I got to see him work. I got to see him relate to other actors and do this astounding play about Cervantes. And and I got that. I was 20 years old, and that's when I decided that I could do this. And that was 1970, and I haven't done anything else since.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, we can tell you enjoyed it.
Yeah, well,
It's your gift for sure.
it's the only thing I can do, and write a few words.
That's amazing. Amazing. Anybody have any thoughts or questions you want to ask Chip?
I do.
All right, come on, bro.
Yeah. What led you to portray this story of Jesus?
Well, I don't, the plays that I do, the films that I've done, most of them are just general storytelling. And and there was nothing really out there that represented so specifically my faith. And I was inspired by an actor, British actor named Alec McGowan, who had memorized the book of Mark in the King James and had done it, in England. And so I said, I can do that. I can do that. But I didn't want to do exactly what he did, and I didn't want to do one gospel. So I thought that I would kind of put the stories together in a chronology that would work as a storytelling or as a play, since that's what I knew how to do. And so I didn't know if it would work. And I would, when I finally put it together, I just asked a few folks around town that I knew in churches, like Belmont Church, 16th Avenue. That was our home church at the time. And Koinonia, of course, was rocking at that time too. And so I said, I may fall on my face, but I'd rather fall on my face in front of people who might love me. So that started it. And that was in the mid-'80s. So, yeah, I just wanted to do something that was very specific about my faith. Not that I would not do all the other stuff that I did, but because I didn't stop that,
Go ahead.
How long did it take to study and prepare and do all of this?
Well, I still am doing it. So forever. To do, and I don't mean to be flippant at all, it's just because as we all know what it's like to grow in Christ. So you're always growing and you're not the same yesterday as you are today or will be tomorrow. So, and that's the way an artist works, at least the way I work, and that is I try to put together flesh and blood, believable characters that you can watch and say, oh, okay, I hadn't thought of that, but I see that's credible. That's a choice that he made or I made that I can believe that it might have happened this way. And then, of course, just taking the 4 Gospels and putting the story together from, I have this was Act 2, basically, of the whole show. Act 1 begins with John's monologue, and the Gospel of, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God, he was with God from the beginning. And John the Baptist, the wedding at Cana, and on and on and on, feeding the 5,000. And then I come to, by the time he resurrects Lazarus, that's where I started as I start today. after the resurrection of Lazarus. So constantly working it, rehearsing it. I had some people, director, my dad, watch it and say, don't do this, do that, move stage right instead of left, things like that. Think of this, unraveling this story, this section, like the feeding of 5,000, unravel it this way, or think about that. So it's a constant, it's what I call acts of creation. Yes, sir?
Being an actor or storyteller slash, what do you hope to project to those who don't believe as well as those who believe?
Wow. Truth. I don't concern myself with, let me back up. I try not to get in the way of what the Holy Spirit might do to a believer or a non-believer. I don't really think that's my job. My job is to present something that is believable to me. And I don't mean that in any self-serving way. I just know that if I can be truthful with myself, honest with myself, and present an authentic character and characters, as you saw, had multiple personalities going. If I can present that in an authentic way, then I trust that the Lord will reveal himself to every individual person who might be sitting, no matter where they come from, no matter what their background is, no matter what they're dealing with at any given moment. If they can see the love of Jesus, and I presented that in such a way, then I'll call it good. Yeah.
I know you've written a couple books and you have other endeavors. Can you give us a brief summary of the books that you have, any future things, where people can find you to find more stuff of you?
Thank you, Cameron. I do have, in the past 6 years, I have been fortunate enough to have 7 novels published. 5 are a part of a series called The Song of Prophets and Kings, and they these are the great sagas of the first kings of Israel, first 3 kings of Israel, and the first 3 major prophets of Israel: Samuel, Gad, and Nathan, and then Saul, David, and Solomon. They're on display back here on a table. I'm sorry I don't sell merchandise, but if you want them enough, there are cards along with the books that you can take and go online and see how you can get those books if you want. And then I did a contemporary fiction series called The Urban Chronicles about a Marine chaplain and his family living in a at-risk part of the neighborhood of a fictional city, and the powers that be want to remove the neighborhood and make it more commercially viable, and he stands up against that. And so, and the titles are individual. You can see back there on the table if you're interested. And take a card. There are plenty of cards, so take one if you'd like. And I'm currently working on a new novel that I'm not going to tell you about. You'll have to invite me back when it's done. Yes, sir.
I can appreciate the fact that you are considering unbelievers who might hear that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, like it talks about in the Gospel of John, and appreciate you wanting to, relate to the believer that might be in the room. But for as far as you, if I could ask a question, so often people in, acting, they might do the same thing over and over again. how does your journey with keeping your faith alive, when Scripture talks about to know Him and the power of His resurrection, the fellowship of the suffering,
Right.
etc., how do you keep from getting it so routine that you fail to, how do you keep that alive without having to be routine? Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know, because, you know, you do a long run of something and it's just words that come out of your mouth from muscle memory and not, you know, that is a challenge, Steve. I have to be honest. And because I don't want to treat it as, it's not just like another script. You know, it's what I've based my life on. So I don't base my life on Arthur Miller or Shakespeare or Tennessee Williams or any other playwright. I base my life on what this is, what you've just witnessed. So there's that. I have that leg up, or that gives me an advantage as I approach this. And you know, but there is a discipline to it. For this past several weeks since Mark invited me to come here, I've been almost daily either in my backfield or if my wife's away in the living room, or if she's at home, I'm upstairs in the bonus room. I'm doing these words. I'm going through these actions. I'm going, so I'm rehearsing. And, but then there's that discipline, but there's also the discipline of just being in constant conversation with God about all my mess, all the people that I know and love and their messy lives, and all of the worship time that I get with guys like yourself and our church, and letting the world, you know, stay outside the door, not getting caught up in that.
That's good, that's good. You have some question?
Yes, sir. I think my question will take too long to answer, but I just want to say thank you, and specifically for how you used your physical body during that. I feel like one of the reasons why I'm supposed to be here today was to watch that, because that's an area of my life where, as a communicator who works with a lot, God is dealing with me about the use of my physical body as an instrument to communicate a message.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I saw that clearly come through, and I felt it through you. And God used that moment to really have me lean into a deeper level of my craft. So I would just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I have to be careful. Not to. I'm going home to take an Advil right now. So keep the Advil handy. I hear you, baby.
Great question. Yes, sir.
You said that you want to be true to your faith and true to your conviction. And when you get called to do a part that may be totally against your faith, and does your head ever get in the way of your heart, where you say, no, that doesn't make sense to my faith?
Right.
God convicts your heart that there might be an opportunity. If so, can you share that?
Michael, I've played some really despicable characters. And I do not that's a different approach to what this is. So it is really, I set this in a category, I set what I just did in a category all its own. But when I play characters that are bad guys, my approach to that is just as if I've played Atticus Finch and I've played, murderers. So the good guys and the bad guys, I approach the same way in just a general way of approaching a part in a play. And that is, I've got to find the truth of those. I got to find the connection of my humanity with the humanity of that character, regardless of what they do or say. Because you've paid a lot of money to come and see this play, and you're going to feel robbed if you don't believe the story that's being told to you. The efforts of the company of actors has been so irresponsible to not be authentic and true to their characters and the mission of telling this story. So when I find the truth, Guido, that connection of my humanity with that character's humanity, I will latch on to that and start layering in what happens as a result of that character's choices, as a result of the direction of the play, and as a result of the choices of the other actors and director. So we're all in concert. We each have different instruments to play and different parts to play. But all of that, we are committed to telling the truth of that story. So that's a process, and that's just a real quick answer to a long process. That's why we have rehearsals. And I do a lot of work before I get to rehearsal.
Chip,
yes, sir.
kind of walk right into that one, so I was going to ask you about the process. Because last week we talked about gearing up for whatever we're doing today.
Right.
That next moment. So I imagine you got up a little early this morning. You just roll out of bed, go up here, get a cup of
Right.
coffee, and jump on stage.
No.
Without every detail, but just give us a feel of what you did to prep this morning before you got here.
I had an advantage of being, we live in Portland, Tennessee, so it's about an hour from here. So I am vocalizing. I mean, I have a, bathroom ablution stuff, and then brush my teeth, coffee, a little something solid to have the energy to do what I needed to do. And then I'm vocalizing first in the car, and then I'm doing the whole script. I do this whole script in the car as I'm driving. And then I get here and I do the rehearsal, because this is a foreign space to me. So I have to get connected to the space and try not to be rude and ignore you, but connected to this space, and then stretch a bit and get wired up with Cameron and Mark and all that stuff.
Push-ups help?
No, I did not do that. And not that there's anything wrong with push-ups, but not today. So that was. But then if I'm doing a rehearsal, then I do that. I'll read Shakespeare. I'll read 15 minutes of Shakespeare and stuff, just a vocal warm up.
Well, your prep and your protocol made you valuable up on stage, right?
Thank you.
I mean, it really did. We talked about this last week, guys, was find your jam, walk into the room with the energy you need to bring up the level, and raise the roof, make an impact on that group, right? You did all the above.
Thank you.
You raised the level of the roof, you raised the level of our thinking and our presence. We have never had a one-man show at 7 a.m.
No, I don't like doing it this early, guys. I'm just telling you.
Thank you very much. You're showing us how to master a craft, a part of our lives. And it takes work, it takes diligence, it takes persistence, it takes focus, it takes the ability to be able to be coached up or reviewed. You have some people who look at your video and go, move over here, move left, stay right. Take that and go, okay, cool, I can make that better. So it's always trying to get a little bit better to take it to the next level. So this is really good stuff. Really good stuff. But thank you for that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions real quick?
Thank you, guys. The table. The table with the books and the cards. Go have a look. Take a card.
A special thanks to our Man School sponsor, Phone Plus. Business telephone service. Custom branding, marketing. Quality, security, stability. Guaranteed savings. PremierPhonePlus.com